Hi guys, we're almost done with June and I'm here to take a look at July. July is looking extremely busy with a lot of transits, a lot of things happening left and right, some of them really tense, some of them more peaceful. Let's take a look and break it all down. My name is Anastasia. I'm a traditional Western astrologer working with tropical zodiac, whole sign astrology system. I specialize in natal relationship predictive readings. And if you'd like to work with me, check out the link down below. If you're new to my channel, please subscribe, leave me a comment or a like. I really appreciate that. And before we dive in, I am currently writing personal horoscopes for the month of July. They are $42 each. So if you'd like to book one, you can DM me on Instagram or send me an email at info@anastasiadoesastrology.com. So in the beginning of the month, we start with the sun in Cancer. Mercury is wrapping up its last few days in Gemini. So up until July 4th, because the night of the 5th, Mercury enters Cancer. Your communication is still very strong. It's lovely for writing, for negotiating, for any kind of intellectual pursuits. Breaking away, trying new things, innovating. So use that Mercury, because Mercury goes in Cancer after that and becomes a lot more personal, subjective, kind of slower. Venus is in Gemini until July 17th, so we're still romantically kind of like curious and playful and open until July 17th, and then it enters Cancer, so even more emphasis on, loyalty, familiarities, kind of comfort, security of Cancer. And then Mars is in Aries, and that's why part of the tension and drama at the end of the month, because Mars squares Pluto in the in the beginning of the month. Mars squares Pluto on the 1st, and so while Mars is in Aries until the 5th, there is some bubbling up tensions. And if you live in the US or anywhere else in the world, you know what's happening right now in the country, and there's definitely been a lot of turmoil connected to that, or a lot of voices and people expressing their opinions. So it's not likely to kind of quiet down for a while, but especially in the beginning of the month, things might be on a global level kind of rough, and then on a personal level, there might be some power struggles. So, but then, things should get better, especially in the middle of the month. We have like Mercury Kazimi, and later in the month when the sun enters Leo, it's just like a slow progress. It's not necessarily immediately, okay, things are great. We're gonna have to deal with some hurt feelings first. So we start the month with Mars squaring Pluto on July 1st. And if Mars is the fighter, the warrior within us, Pluto is the underworld. So you're like fighting with someone who represents the underworld. You're fighting with your own dark feelings. So it's very explosive, it's very dramatic. There might be power struggles, there might be struggle for control, trying to figure out who holds more power in relationships. And in the world, right? Like the situation in the US, there's been a lot of questions about control and like who has control over women and women's bodies and all of that kind of stuff. I'm not gonna get too political because people have all kinds of opinions and I don't want to get into that, but there's just been a lot of turmoil in the country connected to the decision, connected to abortions. So yeah, Mars squaring Pluto on a global level can lead to unrest, to violence, to accidents. On a personal level, power struggles, dark feelings. Make sure you're not driving too fast. Make sure you're not getting into rough, tough situations. Just like be careful. On July 2nd, we have Mercury trining Saturn and then squaring Neptune. So this is very like, it's an interesting transit to see how it's going to play out in real life. But Mercury trining Saturn feels like, okay, I have a solution to the problem. I am going to work hard. I know how to fix it. I'm ready. Whatever it is, personal things, documents, education, business dealings. And then Mercury immediately at the end of July 2nd, at the end of the day, goes on to square Neptune. And so it's like you think you have a solution, but then you don't, or you get dissatisfied with the solution, or you get misled. Someone might be like confusing you. You may not have all the information. You may, yeah, like just be careful signing for any kind of like deals, getting involved in any major decisions. Just try to take it easy, especially at the end of day on July 2nd and possibly July 3rd too. So the night of July 4th into 5th, early morning, I think it's like shortly after midnight Eastern time, Mars enters Taurus, will stay there until August 20th, and Mercury enters Cancer for the next 2 weeks, and then they aspect one another. So Mars in Taurus is more focused on peace, and this is good. It's just good for like personal relationships, for the world, the feelings that people are having. So we tend to be more focused on peace, steady, dependable, reliable. Of course, on the negative, Taurus has that stubbornness, that sense of like, I know the right way and you don't, so you have no right to opinion. You know, getting angry when feeling insecure, getting defensive, getting possessive, getting triggered when it comes to topics of your possessions or your finances. Finances can still be pretty rough at this time. On the positive though, like even though it takes us longer to start, we are more steady. You know, once you, like, you may kind of struggle a little bit in the sector of your chart that is Taurus. And I'm going to break it down, some of the main transits I'm going to break down for each sign in the next video, tomorrow likely. So it takes you longer to start, but at the same time, once you start, you're steady, determined, persistent, and you go after things that have value, that have longevity, like a career that lasts a long time, the pay raise that you really want. So the strength is patience and dependability and determination. It's really lovely for physical work, for gardening, for spending time in nature, connecting with animals, like working with your hands. Mercury is in Cancer, the same, goes into Cancer the same night. Mercury in Cancer is less interested in the quantity of information, more so in the quality. It's more sensitive, it's more subjective. We start to be interested in things that really carry emotional value for us. So emotion definitely connects to your thought. And of course, there's always a danger with that of being too subjective and being too attached to your past issues and not really seeing things for what they are, more so seeing your projection. So be careful. Great time for spending time with family. And you know, both of those, like Taurus and Cancer, are very family, comfort, security oriented. So when the two of them come together, you on the night of the 5th, you might be more clear about what is it you want in your family and how to make things work and how to create more stability in your life. July 8th, also kind of like July 8th, 9th, Mercury in Cancer will square Jupiter in Aries. So this is good for expanding your world, but because it's a square, there's a sense of like, you know, expanding your world through education, travel, working with others, socializing. But at the same time, it's a square to Jupiter, so maybe you get opportunities, but they come at a price. A lot of times when there's a square to Jupiter, Jupiter gives you something, but it's not quite what you want, right? Like you want to work 5 days a week and make more money, and your boss comes back to you and they're like, well, we'll give you more money, but no 4 days a week. Or we'll give you 4 days a week, but no more money. So there's a sense of that, like opportunities that come might not be exactly what you want, and maybe they are what you need, right? You don't know that it's necessarily a bad thing. There might be also a tendency to be too confident in your own opinions. Like you might feel like you know everything, while in reality, you probably don't. July 10th is pretty exciting. Sun in Cancer will sextile Uranus. Sun wants to shine light. Uranus wants to break away, revolutionize, start new things, get going. So it's kind of like you get this electric shock of Uranus, but it's very, very supportive. It's more like maybe you get like a present that triggers you and makes you excited about something. don't love this word. Excited I do, trigger not so much, but like basically it like inspires you to something. So there could be fun encounters, new people coming into your life, igniting a spark within you. There might be, your mind might be more on fire. Your creativity is heightened. You're more inventive, more open to innovating things in your routines, and just more interested in changing the way you express yourself, which could come across through changing your physical body, changing your look, changing your style, or maybe changing your brand and the way you express yourself on social media. July 13th is busy, but also kind of rough. We have Venus trining Saturn, which is good for commitment and steady progress when it comes to creative work. Mercury sextiles Uranus, so that continuation of that brainstorming energy, new ideas, new exciting thoughts. But the tough event of that day is the full moon in Capricorn, that the full moon will conjoin Pluto and square Chiron. So there is a sense of, it's like Cancer versus Capricorn. Your sense of security, your emotions, your comfort versus your need for achievement, your hard work, your status in the world, and you will need to examine those two. And it's likely that, and of course it depends on where this falls in your chart, but it's likely that you will not be able to, you can't have it all basically, right? Like you cannot have a loving family that you're like attached to, and then a super like full work life. It's all about balance. You have to balance those two, and sometimes it's a fine dance. Like you compromise here, you compromise there. Like it's important to have like a balance. So maybe you're completing a work project, maybe you're completing a professional chapter, and you're choosing possibly something that is satisfying both professionally but also personally. And of course, because Pluto is involved, there might be questions of like fears and control and power, and like, are you willing to let that go? Are you willing to sacrifice something or trust more and release of a tight grip on things in order to create something new in your life? And of course it will depend on where this falls in your chart. And then it squares Chiron, which feels very much like healing, and healing any self-doubt or a wounding of your ego you might have, because Chiron is in Aries, and Aries is very much self-driven sign. So there might be certain like fears you have about your own independence that you have to address. On July 14th, Venus will square Neptune, so this is confusing for relationships. Possibly, you don't quite know what's going on, you feel insecure, you feel uncertain about the partnership that you're in. Creatively, you may feel uninspired and struggle to find inspiration. So it's just try to take it easy that day and make sure you're not escaping the frustration by indulging into unhealthy behaviors. July 16th is exciting. Mercury conjoins the Sun in Cancer. We call it Mercury Kazimi. So this is the time of empowered intellect, insights, inspiration, great time to set intentions, especially when it comes to mercurial things, starting a business, writing a novel, socializing, relationships, connection types of energies, education, travel, anything like that. And Mercury becomes an evening star, so it's a more reflective Mercury, more able to, before we had, during retrograde, Mercury conjoined the sun, and Mercury became a morning star. And Mercury as a morning star is kind of like Mercury in Gemini. It's very much a kid in a candy shop, like this and that, and excited about everything. And Mercury as the evening star is more like Mercury in Virgo, so there's more ability to kind of like narrow things down, to come up with the solutions, to compromise, to prioritize what matters, what doesn't. So it's a good shift for possibly people understanding each other in a personal life and on a global level. On July 17th, Venus enters Cancer. She will stay there until August 11th. Venus in Cancer is nurturing, family-oriented, loyal, more introspective, more passive, right? Like it's not as, we will be less interested in taking risks romantically. We're more interested in staying inside our comfort zone. We're kind of slower to express affections at first. We seek relationships that are nurturing and supportive. The shadow side is being passive aggressive, not expressing how you feel, not expressing frustration. And then of course Cancer is connected to family and childhood, so maybe you might notice patterns coming into your life from childhood, or the relationship your parents had that wasn't perfect. You might see it in your own relationship. So there's a need to be more attentive and more direct, I think, with this placement. Mercury and the Sun will also trine Neptune, which helps our empathy, also on July 17th, and increases creativity and imagination. July 18th, 19th are rough because Mercury and the Sun will oppose Pluto. And this is sort of the callback to July 13th, the full moon we had. Mercury, the Sun, opposite Pluto is very much like your mind, your heart versus something dark. And dark, like, when I talked about the full moon, this could be the darkness of your psyche and unprocessed wounds and things reminding you of the past that you need to address and heal. Or it could be a person who's, Pluto can be very much like, the story of Pluto is that he like jumped from the underground and stole Persephone and took her into his world. So this is like something jumping from the underground, someone, and taking you into the place where you have to sit with yourself and heal yourself. So pay attention to what comes up and focus on healing. Could be a good day for therapy. Mercury enters Leo on July 19th and Sun enters Leo on July 22nd. So we become more expressive, we become more interested in shining our light, more loud, right? Like as far as Mercury goes, your voice might get louder. You might interrupt other people a little bit more. You might always want to be heard and seen, and kind of like you want to shine. You want to. It's a great time to like film yourself, right? Like make any videos, present any ideas, speak in front of people, because likely you get the oomph of Leo. But look, of course, be careful of taking all the spotlight, taking all the attention, and being very like subjective when it comes to sharing. So try to share, but lovely time for having fun. Chiron retrograde starts on July 19th, which, on a personal level will make us look at our wounded confidence and our insecurities and possibly work on healing, because sometimes those issues might get more pronounced and you sort of have to look at them, and you have to get over the things that you are struggling with. July 23rd is lovely. Mercury will trine Jupiter. Good news, opportunities related to travel, education, business negotiations, sales. Good luck to any mercurial pursuits. So all the things that I just mentioned. July 24th, 25th, Venus will square Jupiter, which could be opportunities, but then once again, maybe they're tainted somehow. Maybe there is like fine print that gives you a bit of like, makes you do things that you would rather not do, or creates a bit of compromise that you have to make. And yet it could be a lovely time. It could be a fun time. You're going out somewhere, you're traveling, but there's a tendency to overdo it. There's a tendency to overindulge, overspend, overstretch yourself. Mercury squares Mars on July 26th, and you want to be careful with your communications, because you're likely to come across as kind of brash and maybe defensive and touchy and irritable, and maybe too caught up in being right and less focused on what truly matters in this situation. So be careful with the things you say. Watch out for harsh words. Watch out for rushing. Like, that's another day when you really want to be careful when it comes to driving. So July 1st, July 26th, for sure. July 28th is pretty exciting. There's a new moon in Leo the same day as Jupiter goes retrograde. So a new moon in Leo is new beginnings to self-expression, new beginnings to confidence, new beginnings to joy and play and beauty, and embracing the child within you that is so confident and so unaware of anything that's going on in the world. I mean, don't be completely unaware, but follow your inspiration, follow the things that make you alive and inspired. And of course, whichever house it affects in your chart, you will see that there the most. It's going to trine Jupiter, that is stationing retrograde. So because Jupiter is basically standing still at that point, it's good luck, but it's also something that, you know, Jupiter stationing retrograde on the same day definitely colors the lunation. It says that, yes, there's good luck, but first you need to do the retrograde of Jupiter. First, you need to reconsider how far you are expanding, whether you have the resources, whether you are ready for the blessings that you are aspiring towards, right? For example, you are really like working to get this new position at your job, and you're putting all the effort all the time, and then you get the position, but you don't realize that it requires you to work more, or it requires you to travel, and like you don't know who to, you know, leave your apartment to, or your cat, or anything like that. So Jupiter retrograde is kind of like tests to your expansion, and also makes you question whether you are over expanding and overdoing it. July 31st is a mixed bag. Mercury will oppose Saturn, so tests to your communication, maybe being unable to express yourself fully, needing to hold your tongue back. Rational Saturn versus subjective Mercury, that Mercury that wants to be like, look at me, I got the ideas, I'm the best. And Saturn is like, sit down. Come down, not right now. So a bit of frustration, maybe blocks, maybe having to make tough decisions, but at the same time, Sun will trine Jupiter, and that is supportive and exciting and good luck for your pursuits that deal with self-expression and creativity. So like, maybe there's opportunities, but you have to be careful, and you have to be slow, and you don't quite enjoy it, and you feel frustrated, and you have to like sit and think about it for a while. And at the end of the month, this is sort of like goes into August, but we have a very interesting event. We have Uranus and Mars coming together with North Node. And Uranus and Mars is very much like revolution, innovation, awakening of some sorts. And North Node deals with karma, right? And things we're all working towards, and things we're trying to understand. And it's all in Taurus, and Taurus deals with resources, finances. So hopefully, you know, hopefully it's not like a crazy inflation terror, or like a breakdown of a financial system. But if it is, it's likely going to bring forth something new and something better. But hopefully, you know, nothing too dramatic, but can definitely be some kind of like revolutionary energy. And first there's an escalation of situation that deals with possibly even like female rights and comfort food, food supplies, finances, living situation, real estate market. So we will see how this plays out. There might be, Taurus is very much the sign connected to nature, so there might be like nature shakeups, explosions, earthquakes, tsunamis. But on a personal level, of course, it's always a little bit easier. So on a personal level, in the house of your chart that is Taurus, you might just be re-envisioning what comfort is, what pleasure is, and what makes you secure. So this is it. Once again, if you'd like a personal horoscope that breaks most of these events down for you, including the personal events that affect your chart, DM me on Instagram at Anastasia.astrology, or send me an email at info@anastasiasastrology.com. and have a good July. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.